Stacy, you can see Anne Marie, she's in Barbados. You got Bunny. That area code is Herb, and you are Stacy. And I was saying my plan is to have a chance, if you guys ask any questions you may have about what this deck was about, why, questions of me, and then have a chance to share your experiences with the deck and talking to whatever degree you want about your life as it relates to the deck, recognizing this is being recorded and it'll be shared with the other Kickstarter supporters. But I also want to put it on the website. I created a website, the universalminddeck.com. So have that in mind as you do share. Nothing that you wouldn't want the world to know. So having said all that, who would like to begin? And you can either raise your hand physically, or if you know how to do the electronic thing, you can do that, or you can just unmute and start. I work my own deck. I work it every day. And I find that I am as much a student, if not more so than anybody. These 64 principles are what the best minds of humanity has decided we need to do. And as you know, they're not that radical. Some of them surprise me. I got to say, when I get the one environmental awareness, that's what it came up. And people are saying that to evolve as human beings on this planet, we need to be stewards of Gaia, or planet Earth, however you think of it. And so the stuff came to me, ChatGPT, right away. And I asked several different ways to give me 64 principles, knowing I was going to do a deck that every human needs to master if we're to be our best, the best version of us. And
why did you pick 64?
well, that's pretty standard for a deck like this. And I noticed, if you probably noticed as well, I'm not saying there's repetition, but there's different takes on similar ideas that came across. Probably if I had said, give me 10 principles, it would have been quite different. And if I'd said, give me 100 principles, quite different. And of course, as you know, I wrote the text of each. The text reflects my life. I'm a 74-year-old person, and I've had experiences, and I talk about them. Some good, some challenging, as all of us in spirit school have. So my bias is in there. If you in the room, any of you, took these 64 principles and wrote your own cards, I imagine it'd be very, very different. It would still reflect the fundamental things like kindness, to be kind, to be generous, to be grateful, to empower others. These things are universal, but I gave you my take on them. Come up. I mentioned I did a beta test, and I think I had 73 people who participated, and there was one person there. She had the U-turn 37 3 times in a row, and I computed the odds, and the odds are astronomical. Oh, that's the other thing about this deck. I think in any deck, when you shuffle, or however you choose, randomly, I believe in a universe where there are no coincidences, that everything happens according to, in my mind, what I call, divine plan, divine serendipity. If a person, though, has a deck and they have a bias, like let's say they're a person who is on the depressive side, their 64 principles might reflect that. So if universal mind chooses one of those, you're getting that person's view. With this deck, since the universal principles, I think it gives the universe, we call it God, universal mind. I sometimes call it just whatever it is that creates this universe of ours. It gives that a chance to genuinely pick cards that are right for a person's evolution. I intended this thing as a curriculum for lifelong living, because I don't know, I do know about you. As a human being, we all know about each other. Nothing's ever handled. Things come up for review all the time. You have a lesson today, you think you master the lesson, then turn around tomorrow, maybe entirely different. And by working on these principles, generosity, kindness, empowering others, aging wisdom, appreciating the wisdom for where you are in your current life, and looking back and learning from experience. If you don't get wise as you get older, gee, that would be sad, wouldn't it? And so anyway, I use it every day. And I did take some notes on some notable cards. I'll tell you a few of them as I was getting ready for you guys to come here. As I was working with the deck and bringing it into Kickstarter, where I started the deck, I was working on a PDF of the actual text. I kept getting uncertainty. I'm not sure which card that is, but I kept getting uncertainty and the wall of fear as things I needed to look at and to break through. So that was coming up often. And I think my sense of this is the more you get a particular card, and I'm sure there are going to be some cards, there are some on the deck, and I've been doing this now for a year, at least a year. There's some I'm sure I've never ever seen. It's just the universal mind doesn't have that in, that's not my lesson plan for the day or my curriculum. Generosity. This came up the other day. And this is a minor thing, but I think it is useful in the homework assignments to literally take them seriously and to take action. So generosity came up, and we all know there's this stuff going on in Florida, and I donated to the Red Cross. For me, a significant amount of money. And it seemed like the right thing to do. And I felt good about it. It felt like the right thing to do. And so taking action, and that's where I think journaling can be helpful. To actually write down what actions you're taking will get you into the habit of taking actions. I also mentioned the wisdom of meditating. It's called an Oracle meditation system. And I do 20 minutes a day, every day, a combination of meditation and prayer, which I think kind of works well for me. I don't have any particular theology, by the way. I've got no religion I follow. I think a lot of people are like me, and some people have religions, and that's their path. I don't have that path. So I spend 20, 30 minutes every morning, including this morning, in meditation and prayer, asking, what I need to know, what I need to grow. Another card I got of empowerment. This was 53. And I got that, and I made a point of specifically calling somebody. I got the card. I said, I'm going to take an action. So I called somebody who I thought might need a call. And it was a profound experience. They were in a very dark place that I had no idea about. I would not have made that call if I hadn't picked card 53. So the more I'm able to take action as a result of the deck, I think the better it works. And I'll end my little bit. We've already got 13 minutes into it. With this recent story, I still practice as a hypnotist. I help people do things like get off of cigarettes, for example. And I had a client, and I had the deck. I got obviously the deck. So I gave this client the deck. He pulled in the office card 28. And card 28 is about self-discipline. He was in the process of quitting smoking. It was his first day to be a non-smoker. And it struck him as, and this happens to me often, like, really, are you reading my mind? And he's been working the deck. This was just last week. So he's been working the deck for five days or so. And it's giving him a jump start on creating a new life as a non-smoker. Anyway, that's it for me. Maybe I'll ask you to go first. I'm going to call on Herb if it's quiet in your background.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you beautifully.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so the question is, how often do you use the cards? You said not every day, I know. Uh,
Sometimes when I have something come up, like an issue, I'll pull it, and I'm trying to remember specifically what the issues that I basically had to deal with, that were concerns to me. The cards actually really fit the situation. So I can't remember. I should have written down the cards and
well,
the issue.
that's
But I felt pretty clear that there was a connection between the situation, basically, that I was dealing with, that I wasn't happy with, and what's going on in the answer in the card. And I think I've done it. I've pulled it the cards 2 or 3 times, and so I was quite pleased.
have you got repetitive cards yet? You know, like a card.
No, no. Haven't gotten repetitive cards yet, but I think, let me see if I can remember. I think basically I wasn't happy. There were some situations where I was dealing with some people, and the relationship sort of ended not in a great space. And I think the card I pulled had to do with people come and people go from your life, or something like that. I can't remember what number it was.
But it seemed apt to you.
I'm sorry, what?
It seemed appropriate.
Oh, it was totally appropriate. Yes, yeah. The only thing that I don't like about the cards, when you shuffle them, they're too stiff.
Ah, I know.
Yeah,
I noticed that. Thank you
so
so much. 'Cause I'm reprinting. That's a great bit of intelligence for me. That's
yeah, but also the point is that if you're at a computer, I mean, quite candidly, you don't have to shuffle the cards. You just do the random number, you go from 1 to 64, and whatever number comes is the number you're supposed to have. So
question. You mentioned 1 to 64. Now, I added those two bonus cards, a day off and the day you die. And I picked both of those cards, 65 and 66. The day off, I picked it, I think only once I remember. And I found that a very helpful, healing thing. I tend to, I'm the sort of person that ruminates about things, and maybe I try too hard. Maybe I have a tendency toward, I don't know, worry. And just taking a day off is useful. And,
I'm amazed how much energy and effort. I'm a writer, and to see what you've written in the 64 cards, in pulling up information from the AI. I've used AI. I won't use it to write my articles, but I'll use it to write letters or emails, or something like that.
yeah.
But so I have played around with the AI, but to see what you're able to put together, and with your background in marketing and writing, I thought you did a real good job of pulling together everything for each card, the meaning of each card. So I hope that other people will take the opportunity to play around with your cards.
Thank you. I haven't started marketing yet, and I am reprinting it. And I'm gonna make the not as thick. Buddy, you got the floor. And Herb, I'm gonna mute you.
It's so funny. So I have a lot of decks, not because I collect them, because of synchronicity. There was a scout on, and it comes back to your deck. It really does. So there was a scout on Facebook Market, and she was selling a couple of decks, and I was like, okay, well, I'll buy these. And then I don't know, for whatever reason, she decided to throw all of them in a tote bag and gave them to me for the amount of money that we had asked. There were like 94 decks in there.
Universe was very kind to you that day.
I know. It was just, and those things happen all the time. So I tend to treat my Oracle decks kind of like I do picking a card. I just reach out to which one.
That's brilliant.
Well, it it's just the
That's
way I
very,
work.
very,
But
it's very, very clever.
I know, but it was so funny because you were talking and then you brought up the two cards, the two bonus cards. And of all the decks, all the other decks, I tend to draw versions, variations of You're on the Right Path and Healing.
It's-
Or they might call it Mending and You're on the Right Path. And your decks, I pull consistently Your Day Off and The Day You Die.
Ha, there
And
you-
I have no idea how to feel about that because it's just so, I don't know. It's just such a deviation from what I tend to do. So apparently they pull me in a different way. So then I guess my question to you is, why is your deck speaking intuitively and differently maybe than the other mainstream decks? Because there seems to be like there's a secret little magic touch that's in yours, and I know that means it comes from you.
Possibly. I think that when you have 94 decks, the thing about my thing is that it's the mind of humanity gave these principles. I added these other two. When you pick a deck, you're getting 94 different people's take. So you're allowing the universe to guide you in a way of picking a voice as well as a card. And about picking 65 and 66, maybe you're like me a little bit. I overthink things. I work too hard.
Oh yes, amen, definitely.
So sometimes a day off is a good thing. But the day you die, I designed that. I thought of that as an advance card to live. There's a thing now called Death Cafe. It's a movement where people get together, not to be morbid, but to talk about the fact that we're all temporarily here. It's all just a moment. We live as if it's forever. We really do. All of us, myself included. And to step back and say, it ain't forever. Who do I want to be in the world? So I consider that a very advanced card to pick frequently.
Well, I think that I might be pulling that card because you and I have a little bit of a sword versus sword relationship. He and I like to argue a little bit in a good way.
In a good way.
In a good way. But it's
Oh yeah, we
interesting
went
that
into it once, didn't we, on Facebook?
we did.
Yes,
But
we-
anyway, what I meant by that is though you said we might think alike, and the interesting thing about The Day You Die is it doesn't matter what my conception of death used to be, but I have a conception of death now in the fact that my husband drowned. He came back a completely different person, a completely different personality, but he drowned. And then my daughter, she coded on a table when she was getting a minor operation. My father, who is a total not atheist but agnostic, he was going through cancer and he went up into the universe. And so I guess my point is we have three different very people in different various stages of quote unquote belief systems, and they all experienced a very similar story in different ways, but still a similar story. And so I cannot not believe, not when three well, my husband's not blood, but he might as well be, three relations, they went to the other side and they came back.
You know that I am one of the things I do in my practice is I do reincarnation work, past life.
I know it.
I'd love to hear from Barbados, and then maybe Stacy. Or
Okay, for me, the deck spoke to me from the time I saw you put it on Kickstarter for whatever reason. I look at it,
Yeah.
I said, okay, should I take this or shouldn't I? Then I said, yes, this looks like something that I can actually sink my teeth into. And when I got the deck, surprisingly, I didn't go to the deck first. I actually went to your book about your past lives.
oh good.
That caught my attention because a lot of persons, well, I guess it's the new thing now, but I strongly believe in reincarnation. I strongly believe that we have past lives. So I found it interesting for some person actually telling us the stories of theirs.
Yes.
Then I pulled the deck out. My husband, well, he just passed. And the first thing that I saw come out for me when I looked at the first card was the day you die. And I
Oh,
said, that's interesting because the day you die is a new beginning. You've
yes.
just gone on to something new. So you have a new beginning there. And I now have to have a new beginning here. And then I said, okay, let's see what the middle of the deck is telling me. And I said tolerance. And I was like, okay, I can relate to this because I need to be able to tolerate the persons around me who are driving me crazy with what's happening here right now, because everybody wants to tell you what to do and how you feel, but only you can go through that for yourself. And then
Tolerance. Mm.
and then 64 was a fantastic card when it said conscious evolution. Because I'm also look into the whole concept of shamanism at this point in time and energy healing. And I'm like, yes, because you're now evolving as a soul further, not necessarily a human being, but as a soul,
Yes.
because I identify these soul patterns. And I've been working on that now for a good few years in terms of looking at these soul patterns and how to correct them and try to see, okay, this is something I need to deal with now. If not, you got to deal with it later. So you have to take a step back. So I will say to you up front, the universe has spoken to me through this deck in many ways. I've gotten passion at one point. You have to have a passion for what you're doing and a passion for life, because we don't know when that day is, well, not should say that, because some of us do know when that day is going to come.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing of embrace uncertainty. And you have to, life is uncertain.
You've
Life is
noticed that, huh?
Pardon me?
I was being humorous. You've noticed that life is
Yes.
really uncertain. You can count on that.
Yeah. So you have to embrace change however it comes. And the reason I said that, some people know the time. I will never forget my grandfather. This goes back years. We've almost 30 years now. When he said to me, "Are you coming to visit me tomorrow?" I said, "Yes." And he asked me 3 times, when are you coming? I said, "I'll get here around 2." And he said to me, "If you get here before 10 in the morning, I will see you and you will see me. If you come after 10, you will see me, but I will not see you because I'll be gone." And that was amazing for me.
Was he ill, Anne Marie, or
No, that's old age. He was 80, what, 89.
and he just said that to you?
He said that. Well, I had that with all of my grandparents, surprisingly, and my father as well. So it's interesting. It's a very interesting thing.
It is it's life, you know. And I think you mentioned spirit. I do believe that who we really are spirits incarnated. You know, like if you read my this book, you know that I've been male, female, black, white,
Yes,
oppressor, oppressed.
that
And, you know, when
fascinated
you
me.
go back and forth like that, this is just my current incarnation, this, you know, old white guy now in North America. Um, so
But
yeah,
I think brought the pod. I think this is one of this. I think we are a part of your pod for this time, for this moment in time, as actors just passing through.
yes, just
That's what we're.
and learning. I think
Yeah.
I think what this is all about. I believe we choose our life. We choose to incarnate, and it makes so much sense if you think about like why does a child born with horrible, horrible, you know, physical things and has a miserable life or dies, and the parents have. I think we all set that up for learning, and some of us choose. I've heard it said that Earth is a very tough school. There are other incarnations, destinations, other universities that are a heck of a lot easier. This place is tough, tough.
Yes, it is.
Uh, I'm sorry, you know, the loss of a husband. Uh, my wife has been very ill for the past 4.5 years. I faced the possibility for death 3 times, and you know that's life on planet Earth. You know, uncertainty. Embrace it. Uh,
Yes.
by the way, thank you so much for coming from all the way from Barbados. I know in Zoom land that it's just a click, but
Thank you very much. Thank you for the deck. And
Thank-
thank you for the
thank you. And so can be efficient on time. We have Stacy. Do you want to say something, Stacy, about your experience?
Hi.
Hey, Stacy?
So thank you again for sending out the book so quickly. When I reached out to you about that. So I'm kind of fresh to the deck still. I haven't had too much experience with it. Um, the reason that the deck spoke to me in the Kickstarter, just to give a little background, I've had lifelong just I don't know why exactly, but real difficulties with depression. And in the last 5 or 6 years or so, I've been very stuck. Very recently, I decided to look into spirituality. I think it was late last year, so less than a year now, and I'm just very new to a lot of this stuff. And the description of your deck, when I saw it, it spoke to me as something that could maybe help me rebuild myself or
Yeah.
build myself anew from the really from the building blocks, from the foundations. Something maybe on a more foundational basis than say other decks out there on the market. And so I'm very glad that I took the leap and bought it. Um, yeah, it's been great so far. I love the descriptions that you've built into the book. They're very comprehensive and they leave a lot for interpretation for the user as well. And I really like that a lot. Um, I haven't had too many repeats just yet. If I could share what I got today,
Yeah.
I drew 2 cards. So first of all, I'm on a lot of medications, and so I've realized in recent months, I think that some of the antidepressants, the anxiety medications, they're impeding my ability to really listen to myself clearly and reach up to my higher self. So I have difficulty getting in touch with my intuition. And one way that I've found to break through that is I'll use like a crystal pendulum
Ah,
over top of the cards, and the pendulum will swing one way or the other to indicate to me which cards to choose. And that has seemed to work very well. And today the pendulum has asked me to choose 2 cards, and one was acceptance and the other was letting go.
wow.
And I think that that's very apt for my situation lately. And generally, when I do pick the cards out of this deck, they do relate to my situation on hand. So I got to say, it's been a great experience so far. Um, so thank you for creating the deck. And I do agree with the quality of the cards. I love the artwork. I love the back of the cards. With the compass and the designs, but yeah, they are a little on the stiff side and they bend a little bit easily as well. So, yeah, if you're going to reprint them, you said that you're looking to maybe
I
change the
am.
quality.
I,
Okay.
I think it should be thinner. Um, I have this thought. I'll express that, and this may seem radical, that everything is exactly the way it is supposed to be. And that is a hard thought sometimes when things aren't going well. There's learning inside of every adversity. And I find that a comforting thought
Me
that
too.
is precisely the way it's meant to be. And my deck is different from any other deck, I think. Not any other deck. There are some decks that are, my deck is a curriculum for living. And as opposed to an oracle, where many oracles are predictive, what may happen
Yes.
in the future. This is about how to live. And I always felt as a young person and middle-aged that everybody else had the manual for how to live life, and John was missing it. And to me, this is the manual. This is what the best minds of humanity have come up with. Generosity, kindness, acceptance, empowerment of others, uh, gratitude. To practice these principles allows a person to grow. And if what spirit school is about is evolving the soul, then what could be better than that? And I do think somebody else could have written the text of the decks differently. This comes from the adversities I've dealt with in life and the learnings I have. And I'm 76 years old. This incarnation is going to end. It ain't going to last. It'll last for a while, and I cherish every day. But none of us gets out of this alive. And hopefully you can come into it better as a soul than we came into it. I think that's the purpose of it. It's
Well, I have one quick question. If you use the number generator, what number do you use? 64? Do you see their bonus card? So it should be 66?
I use 66, but
Okay.
you have the option of not including the bonus. You can just work with the 64 major principles that AI came up with, or you can add John's additionals.
Okay. I think I'll just do 66 for
Yeah.
grins. Okay.
In terms of picking, I promised you guys a meditation. Is everybody up for doing that? So, okay, if anybody is,
Yes.
speak up. But to pick a card randomly, I figured out how to do that. I tried to screen share and I couldn't figure it out because I was going to use the random number generator. But let me see here. Herb, you just spoke. Herb, can you pick a number between 0 and 6? First number pops in your head. Any number. Don't think about it. Unless you're muted.
5.
Okay, and Stacy, can you pick a number between 0 and 9?
7.
Okay, so we got 57. And what 57 is, oh my God, justice advocacy. So justice advocacy. Now I gotta say, this is not necessarily what I would, be thrilled to get. I am so, I can't be the only person who is so totally self-centered. I always wanted to be something that directly relates to me. This doesn't seem to, but that's what we picked. And first it came for the socialists. Maybe this is appropriate. I don't know, Barbados, we got some crazy stuff happening in the United States. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak up because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists. I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And Pastor Martin Niemöller. As children, we believe fairness is an ideal, a self-evident truth. In the playground, we thought an appeal to fairness would trump any argument to the contrary. Saying that's not fair gave us the moral high ground in any dispute. But as we enter adulthood, we often define justice as having things go our way. And injustice is any situation that goes against our self-interest. We develop an insensitivity to injustice that other people suffer. Ask yourself, what is more important to you, justice or not rocking the boat in life? You'll see that it largely depends on how you are personally affected. If things are going well for you, you do not want disruption to the status quo, but fighting for your rights becomes a moral imperative. If you're a victim of injustice, the card invites you to advocate for fairness, equality, and ethical conduct, no matter how it affects your self-interest. By staying silent as others are targeted, one risks becoming complicit in the erosion of rights and freedoms. Like many lessons in spirit school, advocating for justice is ultimately in your self-interest. That's because standing up for the rights of others is essential for preserving one's own freedom. This is especially important when justice costs you. In fact, advocating for fairness is especially important when there's a personal price to pay. And the assignment is, let there be justice on earth. Let it begin with me. So my take on this justice advocacy is that to be an evolving soul, you can't just be self-centered. Anyway, I'm a hypnotist, so I'm going to do kind of a bit of a hypnotic type thing. Does anybody have a problem with that? You won't be put into a deep state, but just nobody's raised their hand or complained or left the room. So why don't you just, this is an induction called the Dave Elman induction. It's a very famous hypnotic induction. And I'm going to basically give you the idea to summarize this, of getting out of self-interest and thinking of others. Nothing wrong with that, right? So why don't you just close your eyes, and it's going to be about 15 minutes, and I'll be out here by 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So if you close your eyes, this works where you relax the muscles that control them. You don't need to see me anymore, by the way. Relax the muscles that control your eyes so thoroughly that as long as you hold on to that level of relaxation, your eyes won't work. You might manage your eye muscles, but your eyelids themselves are too relaxed to function. And when you're confident that you've achieved that, you've relaxed your eye muscles so much that if you were to try to open them, you might manage your eyebrows, but your eyelids themselves would just stay closed. Then give it a little test and prove to yourself they just don't want to work. Now, take that relaxation and bring it into your forehead. Bring it down around the back of your neck and bring it all the way down your spine, especially into your shoulders. So now that you've distributed that relaxation, I'm going to ask you on the count of 3 to open your eyes for a moment. Close them, take a deep breath, and get the idea of doubling that level of relaxation. Simple as that. 1, 2, 3. Open, close, deep breath, and double that level of relaxation. And remember that today, the challenge is to be an advocate for justice. Let there be fairness on earth, and let it begin with me. And since everything I'm going to say is about that in your life, well, consider you can just let whatever makes sense stick with you. Whatever doesn't, fade away. So again, on the count of 3, to open your eyes for a moment. The count of 3, close them, take a deep breath. Get the idea of doubling this new level of relaxation in your body. 1 and 2 and 3. As you begin to drift along and dream, becoming more relaxed with every breath. And imagine that the room that you're in is really a big, comfortable elevator. Elevator doors in front of you. Over the doors, numbers 10 going down to 1. This elevator is a conduit down to your inner mind, to a place within of peace, but also genuine power. The ability, once you let go, that magical things can occur. Let there be fairness on earth. Invites us to be brave. And the elevator starts to move, courageous, all the way down from 10 to 9. 9 lights up over the door. Elevator bell dings. Everything slows down. Breathing, heartbeat, and thoughts. All the way down to 8. And 8 lights up over the door. Time begins to stand still. To be courageous. To live in gratitude. The general principles. The courageousness. All the way down to 7. 7 lights up over the door. Time does stand still. And every breath you take takes you down, deeper and deeper down, more relaxed and at peace, maybe than you've been in a long time. All the way down past 6 to 5. 5 lights up over the door. Remembering the phoenix, rising, resilience, a new you. To Stacy's point, to all of our points, all the way down to 5. And 5 lights up over the door. And somebody starts to pump in some relaxing energy, some soothing energy, as you begin to drift and dream, all the way down to 4. Authenticity, to be who you're meant to be in the world. Generosity, all the way down to 3. Spirit school, perhaps has called you today. That there are no coincidences. That these are the exact, precise people that need to be here as you find a purpose in life, or deepen your purpose. talking to Barbados there a little bit, all the way down to 2, and 2 lights up over the door. The mirror, getting to know yourself, the parts that are easy to accept and embrace, and the parts that might be more challenging, all the way down to the mask. Number 1, to be the authentic you, to have the courage to be the real you as you are in the world, without apology, without explanation, all the way down to 1. And as 1 lights up over the door, the elevator bell dings and the door opens. And imagine you walk out into that garden, into the garden with the statue of justice, blind justice, fairness. What is fair? What is fair in our world, in our society, in your life? And as you stand in front of that statue, allow yourself to begin to feel a connection with you at your very best. The deck calls on you, on each of us. The best minds of humanity call on us to grow in kindness, generosity, courage, fairness, creativity, contribution, connection with others, with our community, to grow as people. There's a wonderful word in Yiddish, mensch, to be a full grown-up, a responsible person, to sit on the throne in your own life. So imagine that this statue looks down at you and asks you what you need to do today, and who you need to be as you drift and dream. If you've got a really good imagination, you can imagine the statue stepping off the pedestal and coming down and holding your hands. And like other cards in the deck say, you can imagine looking into your eyes and say, it is going to be okay. That you are here for a reason. You've chosen to be on this planet, in this body, in this culture, in this time. You've chosen it. And let the good times roll. Drift and dream. Now a little bit of oracle magic. As she says that to you and holds your hands, looks in your eyes, you begin to feel the forest around you, the park, alive. Remembering the card connection with nature. To be in your body, but also in nature, part of creation. To be whole and complete. And my wish to you is that every day from this point on, as you work the deck, or not, you're a little better than the day before. Stronger. More at peace. As you drift along and dream. We spend so much of our time, many of us at least, looking at the injustices done to us. And as the responsibility card says, responsibility begins to the acceptance that you chose all this. Your path. Connection with deity is maybe the most important. To be a soul among souls. And who knows, maybe our souls have known each other together. Maybe that's why we're here, the 5 of us connected. As you drift along and dream. Oh, 6 of us. Forgot about myself. That's unusual. So as you work the deck, my wish to you is that you learn and grow, that you take what lessons the deck offers and make them your own. The points are meant as starting points for thought, and you will figure out exactly what you need to do and who you need to be your very best. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you for being part of my project, part of my journey. And please stay in touch. Love to hear how you do over time with this.
Will you have another session in about a month or quarter just to see how we're doing, or do you just,
Is that a request, Anne Marie?
that's what I'm asking?
I thought about that. How about we do that? Would others like to do that? Meet again in a few months? Maybe
I would like that. That would give me incentive to keep on with it regularly.
1 month, don't wait for 2.
I agree.
Good. So let's do that. I'll send you, and this time works for everybody, or would 7 o'clock be better?
This time was perfect for me.
Perfect.
It's
Okay.
fine.
And I'll be,
One thing people should do is when they pull a card for an issue or something, write down what the issue is in the card so you can look at how they fit.
and
you know.
that's my big takeaway. I commit by next time that I'll have done that daily to write down what Herb just said. Write down any issue I picked out specially, and the card of the day. And also, I would say write down whatever action you might take as a result of that message. So again, thank you so much. And I'll put that request or that invitation in the Kickstarter. And again, thank you for being my friends. So
Okay. Bye.
Thank you, John.
bye for now.
This was great.
Carol.
Thank you. Well, I'm really grateful you participated. I had no idea what to expect when I did this Kickstarter thing.
Oh,
Thank you.
same. This has been awesome. Thank you.
Be well.
That's all right.
Bye, buddy.
Get Carol.
Bye-bye.